So I was going to get in here and do some testing on this, what I think personally is the roughest track in the MXGP Pro. Why does that feel so far zoomed out? What is going on here? I guess it's not. Okay. I think I actually got the computer screen a little bit further back than I had it before. That's why it looks like that. But yeah, this track to me, whenever I first got on it, it really gave me like a feeling of, God dang, this feels a little bit different than some of the other tracks in the game. And so that's kind of what drew me to it a little bit and made me start thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. It'd be cool to go in there and make a video on this just to kind of explain the roughness of the track and stuff like that. So, I mean, whenever you first get on it and you start hitting some of these little jagged, rough bumps, and it's not like it's breaking bumps on this track, but it definitely does have sort of a, like just little areas where it's kind of raised up spots of terrain and stuff where if you hit it wrong, it will kick you right over those handlebars, dude. So you got to be a little bit careful with that, or it will jack you up on this track. But I guess all the other tracks just had a lot more of a feeling of like, feeling like you could just not really have to worry about what you're hitting, right? You could just kind of go full speed anywhere on the track, whereas this one, to me, kind of felt a little more like, okay, I got to actually think about what I'm doing with some of these tighter corners, and some of the jump faces actually feel like they got a little bit of a kicker style to them. You can kind of see it right here, like different heights on the width of the jump faces and stuff like that. You see it right there a little bit on that jump face, but yeah, just kind of felt like it actually had a little bit of, and that section right there, in particular, that is like one of the most kickered out rough spots that I've seen on this entire game so far. I don't know why that one particular section seems to capture that, but it definitely does. Like right here, I don't know, the track just kind of feels like it's got some I hate to say roughness, because the first thing people want to think is like, oh, well, that must mean AMA, replica roughness style. So, oh, hey, the game's perfect, but that's not what I mean by that. This feels more like maybe if you're like free riding out in the middle of the desert or something, and you're just kind of like bouncing over just random little raised up dirt in certain spots, and you got to be really careful doing that, right? Because you can have stuff that's a lot more jagged, a lot more inconsistent, janky type of bumps and stuff than what you would expect to have on like a standard AMA motocross track. This feels like a bit more of a, you never know what the bike's going to do when you hit some of this stuff, because it's just like randomly weird built type of bump in jump face type of terrain and stuff like that on it. So yeah, man, I thought this track itself was kind of cool though, with the cacti off in the distance. Definitely gives you a bit of a deserty type of vibe. Definitely feels different than a lot of the other tracks in the game, so thought that was really cool. Is one of the things I'd spoken about in my review of this game, saying how that is one thing that they've improved upon, is kind of making the tracks feel different from each other and making the on-track terrain and the way the dirt looks and all that feel different and stuff. What the fuck? I don't know. I still think they got that a little too extreme in this game. The little pop your legs right off when you overjump anything. I don't know why it does that, man. Oh, that's that little section right there. You gotta be careful. What it does is it creates this sort of nervous, scared feeling in your head every time you go up to that section. It kind of makes you get the feeling of, man, I just, please, baby, don't get that kicker, baby, please don't kick me over. It's that the feeling like you're kind of risking it every time you go up to it really fast. You know how in real life sometimes when you get really chewed out, blue groove, kickered out jump faces and stuff like that, it's just sort of you're kind of hoping and praying and just holding that throttle wide open kind of feeling. So that was cool how this track captured that a little bit here. The first corner's kind of got more of almost like a deep sandy feel to it, which is kind of cool. Definitely liked that, just the way that first corner section looked. The way some of the ruts and stuff looked on that, even though they don't really grab you like a whole lot, they still look pretty cool. So, yeah, let's see if I can just hold it wide open around here. Okay, so you got to hit that little tabletop pretty hard to get it all the way over. Then you can swoop back around like this. So this jump, you can over jump way too far on that. And some of the parts of this track kind of get super narrow, and it's almost like the outside of the track just sort of falls off, if you know what I'm saying. So it's cool because it's like you really got to focus on slowing down in the corners and stuff like that. You can't just like sweep it around and feel like you're wide open everywhere. It kind of you got to really be a bit more patient on this track than any of the other ones, I feel like. So that's why I wanted to come in here and make, I think, you know, this is the roughest track in this game. I don't think I've rode on every single track. I kind of get confused on which ones I've rode on. I've rode on most of them though. So I mean, this is definitely something where you'll hop on this track and kind of get a bit of a different feel. Like I actually feel like this track has somewhat of roughness skill gap to it, right? Whereas most MXGP or milestone games in general have zero roughness skill gap at all to them. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just none. There's nothing to it. So it just, you know, MXGP Pro, it's like they just made steady, small improvements over some things, but it just, I don't know if it's really enough to say that like, oh, well, this game's, you know, worth the money and all that type of stuff. I just don't know if it's that much of improvement, you know, especially when you talk about how the whips feel in the game and so the air physics and certain jump design, stuff like that, still not as good as we were wanting it to be, or you would expect that they would have at this point, you know, but it's like they're just trying to do just little stuff here and there, and they're just slowly progressing through it. And I guess that's kind of what you get when you get two of these milestone motocross games a year, right? They're not going to be massive improvements like I've always said before, so it's just a bit of a different feel than going from like a MX versus ATV game and then going to another MX versus ATV game that comes out 2 or 3 years later, right, where it feels like a totally different game. Well, these milestone games don't really feel like totally different games because they're like two coming out 1 year, like I'm saying. So, but yeah, man. Oh, god dang, that one section. You'll be really careful on that. But I just wanted to go in here and make a fun little video. Nothing too crazy. Just wanted to talk about. I thought the roughness on this track is pretty cool. Nice little change up. That's a little scary section right there. You got to be careful on. Let's see if I can get turned around. And so yeah, I mean, I was really happy to see a track like this in the game, I guess is what this video is all about. I was trying to go in here and just explain that it's cool to have stuff like this. You know, you can go in there and make interesting little designs on the tracks, make some super rough, make some super ruddy, which I think they kind of failed on that a little bit. But, you know, it's the variation of it. That's really what makes these motocross games fun, especially when you're riding on the same tracks that you've rode on 10,069 times in every other MXGP game. You know, you got to be changing them. You got to be starting to make them more separate from each other, right? So it's like, oh, okay, that's this track, and then, oh, okay, that's this track. You know, like you really understand it in your mind, not just like all of them kind of blend together and feel like the same track in a certain sense. You want them all to have their own, really their own type of feeling with roughness, traction, jump design, corner design, right, like rut design, all that decal, the actual visual design of it, all that needs to be as varied as humanly possible so that it feels like each track is its own individual special thing in the game. And that's what makes the games last really long because, oh, I'm going to crash it there, yep. That's what makes them last really long. Yeah, I was really impressed on just how the terrain of this track was. Like, as far as how different the raised and lowered parts of the track are on the width of the track, that was the most impressive part to it to me, where it just has this super realistic feel of, like, where it's like, you know, on the left side of the track it'll be lower, and then the right side of the track it'll be raised up, and then in front of that it'll be lower and then raised up over here. You know, they got a nice little randomization of the way the actual traction is on this track right here. So it just fits the vibe of it too, I feel like too. You know, it's like that just out in the desert, kind of weird, janky, bumpy cactus hardcore terrain type of feeling to it. That's the feeling it gives to you. So you see the feeling that I'm getting from the track, right? It becomes this overarching type of experience that you get with the track. You remember that type of stuff. You know, it being this certain kind of roughness that I haven't felt on any other track in this game. It's just those certain feelings that you create, and then you associate that with whatever track that you're on, and then it becomes this super memorable, fun type of experience thing to it there. And that's what this track gave me in the game right here. So either way, if you want to experience some roughness feeling, I guess you can double that a little bit there. I don't know. What I was meaning before is like just certain sections on here where it just seemed like you could where you'd maybe be able to jump a triple off of a little bit of roughness or something cool like that. You know, you can't really do that in most sections on this track right here. But yeah, when you first get on it, man, it'll definitely shock you a little bit. You'll be like, damn, what am I playing here? Am I even playing a milestone motocross game? So it's pretty cool. But yeah, just one of those tracks that seems to be that slight improvement, definitely over MXGP3 and the official Monster Energy Supercross game here as far as corner physics, roughness, stuff like that. I really like the way that water looks right there too, but either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.